All right, welcome everybody to the Northern Neck January 6th Vigil. It is day 1199 or 1200, depending upon how you count it, but it's 1199, April 19th of 2024, and as always we start with a prayer and a pledge, and here we go. Heavenly Father, please as always watch over the January Sixers that are working their way through the DC Gulag, the ones that are being picked up on a daily basis, seems like, and then also the ones that are now somewhat tucked away and out of sight and out of mind, and especially, God, give them the strength and the rest of us the courage to do what we can to help them in any way that we can. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I was hearing an echo and I was thinking,
Fake news is here.
God is listening.
Let me see if I can find a real chair.
Come on in here. We got extra chairs. We get all of us in here.
There's a window over there. It's almost real.
Yeah, I see. I spotted one.
You want that one?
Yeah.
I'll bring it.
Those other chairs are so low for me. With my bad knee, when I sit in one position for a while, I have trouble unlocking it. Which wouldn't be bad, but with my body weight, you don't want to try to pick me up.
I got that problem on my hips. I can't even lay on them.
I have this thing for you.
Okay, thanks.
Did you see it yet?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, I guess.
So this was my little present to Cheryl. I got this on the Stand for Health Freedom website. Hey, there's Lindy. How are you doing tonight? What does non-compliance look like? What does non-compliance look like? So we have a picture of a cat laying in the yard with a sign of no cats. So say no to mandates, opt out of facial recognition, ditch your real ID, become self-sufficient, build your community, refuse to stay silent. That's what non-compliance looks like.
Yep. That's what
And you know you would appreciate the cat reference, so there.
Yes.
All right. So, what's on everybody's mind here tonight?
Got a new guy in the gulag.
You got to get the mic going if you're going to talk.
Hello. We got a new guy at the gulag, Jack Wade Witten. He's 33 years old, and
Where's he from?
I have that somewhere. Did I bring it with me? His sentencing is May 2nd at 11 a.m.
So he's a short time.
Yeah. I had all that information, but I guess I didn't bring it. It's on another piece of paper at home.
All right.
One of the little pieces of paper that we have.
All right, so most folks that have been paying attention to the events of this week was a huge week for a couple of reasons. Number one, Tuesday, April 16th was Fisher v. United States. That was the challenge of the 1512C2 Enron's era statute that the Department of Justice had wrongfully, as so argued, stretched the limitations of believability to turn that particular case, which had to do with shredding documents when Congress was investigating the financial companies, and turned that into a charge that could be used against January Sixers for disrupting an official proceeding, that being the certification of the votes of the Electoral College in Congress. So never meant for that. They only chose it because it was a 20-year sentence. That's why they did it, and they figured they could get away with it because they figured most Americans would just be asleep and not pay attention. Thank goodness our Supreme Court, I thought they eviscerated the arguments of the AG. I've got some stuff I want to read about that. But anyway, that was huge. And then, of course, on Wednesday, the whistleblowers from the DC National Guard, who reiterated their testimony that they gave to the unselect J6 committee, who never used any of it, but basically they explained that yes, they were not given the go-ahead to deploy to the Capitol, even though they were on the ready, had been on the ready even since the first calls came in, because there was a blockage at the higher levels at the Department of Defense. And so even though President Trump did ask for 10,000 troops to be deployed, that order never made it down to them. And the end result of that is 3 hours and 19 minutes were wasted when they could have been out there to help. 3 hours and 19 minutes. The first National Guard unit that arrived at the Capitol was from New Jersey. So there, think about that.
This is the letter I got, the way it looked.
Oh goodness, I don't see how you deciphered it.
Yeah, it's very light.
Wow.
It's a flexible pencil, he said.
Yeah, I brought some letters too, but you guys, I'll mainly use them at the meeting Sunday, but
Then we had scrap papers.
All right, you probably can't hear what you guys are talking about, but this was a post that I wanted to bring up about the Supreme Court. Justice Gorsuch and Alito just annihilated the entire foundation of Biden's Department of Justice case against J6 protesters. They dunk on the U.S. Solicitor General with examples of unhinged leftist psychos disrupting official proceedings and ask why those protesters were never charged. Alito makes an excellent point about the protesters who shut down the Golden Gate Bridge yesterday, asking the Solicitor General if she would apply the same argument if disruption resulted in someone not making it to court in time to testify. The Solicitor General tries to justify this glaring evidence of a two-tiered justice system by claiming that it's different because those protesters likely didn't know that they weren't allowed to disrupt official proceedings. Meanwhile, a Nana who took a selfie outside of the Capitol is serving jail time. It's worth listening to the whole thing, especially based on Gorsuch with the Jamal Bowman reference around the 1 minute 10 mark. And that again is the available testimony from the Supreme Court. You can go online any single day and watch live what's happening in the Supreme Court. How many people know that? It's easy.
yeah.
And then they put the recordings of that same day's event in, but it usually doesn't get in till the very end of the day or maybe early the next morning. But it's all right there. So it's all available for everybody to look at. So go look at it. It's pretty interesting.
I'll do a little filling in while Tom's going through his notes. I think a lot of you already know this, but this proceeding that's going on right now with these 4 whistleblowers is really the smoking gun, because this is something that the J6 committee worked mightily to keep hidden. Steal a lot of evidence, they destroyed it. They are making efforts to retrieve it, and I think there is a good chance that they will retrieve some of this.
I'll guarantee it.
But I've tried to say this from day one. Why, if you're trying to foment an insurrection, would you do everything you could to bring in the National Guard? It never made sense from day one, but the press wouldn't report on it. His words about proceeding patriotically and peacefully to the Capitol, those were edited out. And unfortunately, a large part of our population gets all their news from 1 or 2 very highly biased sources. And these are people with advanced degrees that should know better. And I will tell you, the man on the street who follows conservative media will know much more about what's going on than all these PhDs walking around that watch CNN, MSNBC, and the usual
Really good
suspects.
point.
So it's been right there in front of us forever. but it's just a propaganda war. And all of us need to be disciplined as far as checking out all the sources. What I call legacy corporate media is falling to pieces. They're all having massive layoffs. They're bleeding red ink. And all the alternative sources are coming up. And in fact, a lot that we work with, people like Jen Baker, who I believe was up there with Tom and some of the other people. And the reporting on it's been excellent. It was front page of the Gateway Pundit. In fact, I reserved that. I took a picture of that, and I think Tom sent out some of that information. So anyway, I would just like to encourage everybody to read. And with what's going on with Fisher right now, and the likely outcome of that, I think better days are getting ready to dawn very quickly. And Tom in particular has been up there in person. And I can tell you some of the questions from the Supreme Court justices were just devastating. And there were instances where the prosecutors couldn't even answer in an intelligible manner. So anyway, I just want to encourage everybody. The worm is turning. A lot of the people, the Northern Neck Patriots have been working very hard, especially some of the people at this table, but there are others. And lastly, the Northern Neck Patriots have formed a J6 committee. Their first meeting is going to be Sunday. And all of those of you who are members, I'd encourage you to become involved. Those of you listening who are not Northern Neck Patriot members, I would encourage you to go to the website and consider joining. We're getting a lot done. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't know if you want to see this, Tom. Some little pictures of all the we talked about last week.
This is the newsletter, Cheryl.
Yeah, it's in draft.
It's a draft. When's that going to come out? Would you talk about what's in it? That's cool. I like it. It looks really good.
We have 2 more weeks.
Two more weeks?
Well, for the Northern Neck, I handed out on our meeting at the Northern Neck on the first Tuesday of the month. So those who are going to be there will get this, but it's in draft form right now. We have a few call to actions, Give, Send, Go, which is Mitchell Gardner. He's getting back on my feet fund. Julio Aquillo, I don't know how to pronounce that. How do you pronounce that?
Vaquero.
Stage 4 gastric cancer expenses. He's a friend of Barry Ramey's, and he asked if he could help with him. Christopher Quaglin, he needs help with legal fees, and Taylor Jonatakis needs help for his family, wife and 5 children. So you could go on Patriot Mail, Patriot Project, and get all the addresses if you care to donate your money. And if you don't want to donate your money, you could donate your time. We need that too.
And prayers, right? And just they say that just by sharing it out to other people, that it's like I mean, you guys are more savvy on social media, but just, clicking on it and sharing it to someone else who might be able to donate, who might be able to follow it that didn't follow it. So it's all getting the word out. It's about spreading the word. So for sure. I gotta say that at the House Committee meeting on Wednesday, when the 4 whistleblowers were testifying, I gotta say I was very impressed, first of all, by Chairman Loudermilk, who was asking some great questions and obviously had called this meeting because he wants to get to the bottom of things. So thank you, and a shout out to you, Chairman Loudermilk. And then also I have to say, Mr. Griffith from Virginia, you were also quite all over it. And I love when you referenced Jack Webb with "just the facts, ma'am, just the facts." And those 4 gentlemen gave you the facts, didn't they? So everybody, again, go watch it. Captain Timothy Nick He's got a whole big following, you know, on social media because of his testimony, but every single one of them did a great job. I think that Brigadier General Dean gave some excellent testimony. I think he's the one who said, you know, you have to watch it. I'm not gonna mess it up. But those 4 individuals know their names because they're just like the FBI whistleblowers in terms of the fact that they're standing up, pushing back, and saying, you know, this is bigger than politics. This is about right and wrong. And thank God we have people that are proud and strong enough to stand up and say the right thing. So that's what this is all about.
After a pause,
Slightly different topic. I like, you know, one of my favorite cases, you were bragging on the Supreme Court earlier. And you know, they listened to arguments in the Chevron case. I understand that they won't come out with a decision on that until sometime this summer. But the reason it's on my mind today is because all week I've been going to meetings at government levels and committees and whatever. And on more than one occasion, for totally separate groups, I heard someone say, well, we have to defer to these experts over here, or we have to defer to those experts over here. And I was like, you mean the government itself isn't making a decision? This is just more of what I retired from. I recall when I was working for the government, I worked for a weapons systems program, and one of the things that was always disturbing was how much influence the contractors had over the program. In fact, more than once I was told, our job is to just ride along in the sidecar and shepherd the program while the contractor does absolutely everything with impunity, regardless of objections. It's a hoax. It's just awful. So I just thought I'd mention it, that these outside people, you know, if an engineer goes in and tells a particular government entity, no, you need to do it this way, not that way, guess what? Apparently, currently, their hands are tied. That's just and all of that is just a tangent to Chevron because it's not directly related to Chevron. But there's rot in our system, just a lot of it.
I think you're right, Maurice. And I believe Craig Shirley talked about it when we had our last meeting about many of these institutions they're not recoverable. I mean, the people will need to be flushed out of them because the kind of people that they have there, and you've seen the recruiting ads and so on for the DOJ and FBI and IRS and so on, and it's like they're very, very interested in DEI qualifications and not so much about, you know, the mission and all that. And yeah, we've got we're well over 50% at this point of the people in the United States are somehow or other either on the dole of the government or employed by the government. I believe we passed that milestone probably a few years back.
yep.
So that's the problem that we're dealing with, and it's going to take every one of us to get up there and stand up and recognize that, hey, the only way we take our country back is at the local level. General Flynn said that over and over again, and I always remember that. So, yeah. All right. Anything else we want to get out before the first calls come in? I've got a couple of new people that were on the NPR website. I guess I'll talk about that, unless there's anything else. So, 2 weeks in a row, I'm not seeing that Friday evening 5 o'clock to 5:30 update. Didn't happen last week, and the update that I have today is dated April 16th. So,
From where?
from NPR,
Okay.
the NPR database that was religiously updated every week. It shows 3 new arrests, and I will read them. Jack Chambers from South Lebanon, Ohio. Jack Chambers was arrested on April 11th, 2024 in Cincinnati, Ohio. Charges are knowingly entering or remaining disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in Capitol building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing. Next one, Darrell McDormand, 53 years old from Waynesboro, Virginia. He was arrested on April 11th. He's got a couple more. Assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers using a dangerous weapon. By the way, a dangerous weapon could be a flagpole.
Or a bike rack.
Well, a bike, or a bike rack.
I think flagpole's the most
Yeah.
commonly cited.
Yeah. Let's see. Jack Wesley Ryan Jr. Jack Ryan was arrested on April 10th in 2024 in Kansas City, Missouri. Obstruction of law enforcement during civil disorder, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers, knowing, entering, or remaining, and so on.
Jack Ryan, what a name.
So those are the three. It states that the number of people charged are 1,353 at this point. Latest and greatest, I think that sounds right. I've been talking 1,350 for a couple weeks now. We're getting close to it, so yeah. 3 in 1 week, hopefully. Well, it's maybe a little longer than that. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully things are slowing back down. But this first quarter of 24 was higher than the last 2 quarters of the last 2 years.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I would like to add something. I think this is going to be coming out in the news pretty soon, but a source that I trust that's in the federal government has told me this. A lot of people are surprised that they're still arresting people. These are not people that would normally be arrested at all. In fact, most of these J6 people would have gotten off with a $50 fine if they had been affiliated with the proper party. But part of what they're doing is intentional. They know that the public is trying to rally behind these prisoners, and it's actually ingenious. Cheryl earlier mentioned a couple people that are in particular need, and they're all in need in varying degrees. But they know that the more people they can get in the system, then it spreads out the assistance. When you've got 1,350 people you're trying to help, it makes it extremely difficult. And they knew that if they just went after this very small number of people who actually did engage in violence, that the public could have easily been able to assist them just based on the small number. So this is the government basically using the Cloward-Piven technique of overwhelming the system. They're trying to overwhelm the American people with so many cases that we're forced to dilute our efforts, because everyone in there deserves our help. It's just a matter of doing the most you can with the resources you have. And that, again, is why I'm bringing up the J6 committee, for those who'd like to get involved. But I'd also encourage other organizations to form their own committees. You might pick out 1 or 2 families to help. There might only be 1 person. I know a lot of the members of the Patriots have taken it on themselves to donate privately. Some of them have written numerous letters, and I get a lot of letters. I brought some of them with me. But there's one disturbing trend I'm starting to notice. As these guys work through the system, I say guys, there are a few women, and they get in the federal level, in penitentiaries, their communications basically completely cut off, and they're closely monitored. In fact, I recently had a phone conversation with one of the, I guess you'd now call them inmates, that I've talked to for the last few years. And he said that since he's been in prison, his wife is being surveilled. They're scanning all her Facebook pages. And a lot of people think once they get in prison, that's the final ride. It's not. They're still messing with them when they get in prison. They're still surveilling them. And what happened is I talked to this guy, and a couple of days later, I got a letter from him. I thought, well, that's odd. Why would he write me when I just talked to him? Well, the letter said, John, they surveil all our calls. As you know, there's only one thing they're not allowed to surveil, and that's outgoing mail. So this is the only way I can tell you what's really going on without getting in more trouble. And I don't want to give too many details. I'm going to go over it at the committee meeting, but I don't want to do it over a live stream because people will undoubtedly figure out who this gentleman is. But let me just tell you, even after they are put in these federal penitentiaries. That was my Biden imitation. Even after they get in there, they're still being harassed. The government is still spying on them, still bothering their family members. So I would just encourage you to do everything you can and just keep your fingers crossed, because if Donald Trump gets elected, a lot of this is going to change fast. And these things that Tom and the Johnsons have been discussing that are going on right now at the Supreme Court, this whole thing could turn around quickly, and I really believe that it is. So now, hopefully, we're coming up on 7:30, so I'm going to get off. Hopefully, we'll have some calls coming in.
Yeah. We're minutes away from the first phone call.
This is what I was just telling you about. As far as what I want to discuss.
Yeah.
Openly.
So the continued harassment thing is bureaucracies working to justify not just their existence, but their continued growth. So the Robert Mueller approach is, show me a man and I'll show you the crime. So when you've got 1,300 new seeds planted, you've got families, and so there's plenty of activity for them to do, and they can justify it in a crooked regime. And it's really that simple. That's the bureaucracies, that's how they work. So it doesn't even have to be some big massive plan, it's just the nature of the beast. And it's disgusting.
Well, following up on what Maurice just said with the newly released job numbers, and by the way, if you've noticed, every month they announce the numbers and they're rosy, then quietly a month later they go, oh, we were wrong. It was really a horrible month. Well, the second report is like on page 38, bottom right corner. But of course, whenever they come up with the fake statistics, it's front page, top center. But anyway, back to what Maurice was saying about the bureaucracy. These latest job numbers that were supposedly so positive, when you break it down, it breaks down into two categories. Most of them are part-time jobs where people have to work several jobs to keep up, and a lot of those jobs are going to, yes, that's right, illegal aliens. But the other significant growth factor, even in our struggling economy, was government jobs. That's right, they're still growing, folks. So those are the two main sectors. To follow up on what Maurice said, most of these new jobs are part-time jobs going to illegal aliens or new government jobs.
And those new government jobs are just glorified welfare. There's no way, I saw it where I was. There's no way that the organization needs to hire, for example, 87,000 new IRS agents. That's an army, by the way, just saying. So yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, and if you ever actually get into a government position and start walking around the halls and look and talk to the people that are working there, you start to realize that unless they've been there for 10 or 20 years, they really don't know anything. They don't, and you wonder why they're on the payroll for 6 figures a year. But it's pretty atrocious. Okay, somebody's late dialing the phone.
Oh, we're down to not that many guys at the gulag.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard. The gulag is dwindling, and that's predictable because they're working through the system. So going forward, we're going to have to be innovative. We're going to have to change our plan just as we moved inside. And I think that's something the J6 committee, there'll be some good ideas come out of that, because I don't think any of us plan on stopping. It's just a matter of how we can be most efficient. It might be a weekly blog, it might be a weekly radio show, it may be all of the above. But I don't think anybody here will disagree with me. We're not going to stop.
No.
We're going to adapt. And I hope that the people watching this will spread the word, share the live cast,
They found me.
Evidently, the live cast isn't going well. There's sirens approaching. I don't see anybody approaching the door, so I guess we're okay for the time being. But anyway, I am joking, but I'm only joking kind of. There are people that have been arrested for the most ridiculous things. People that were waved into the building. I think recently they jailed a 73-year-old woman who was inside praying. She walked inside, prayed, and walked outside, and I think she just got 60 days in jail at the age of 73. Well, here's our first call, folks.
Domino's Pizza.
Dominic Pizzoli.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $3.63.
Make it short.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
What's going on, Page Streets? How are you?
Hey,
Doing all right. How you doing?
Everybody wants.
Pretty good, pretty good. You caught me. I have absolutely caught me with my pants down today. I literally just got out of court, and then I saw my lawyer, who actually showed up late to court because her office put their time, like Missouri time, for the whatchamacallit, and not Eastern time. So she showed up late, and that did not make the judge happy, but it is what it is. Like I said, I just got done talking with her. She has told me. Just give me 1 second. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, cool. Sorry, just switched headphones. My headphones just took a crap. So she has told me stuff that everyone already knows, that I have been blessed with the worst lawyers known to man ever. And she says, well, good news is that we have a bunch of lawsuits after this. Bad news is, I can't believe that they've put you through this over 3 years and you have no criminal record.
Right.
She goes, you have nothing? Like you haven't, like, no, like you didn't, like, secretly, kill someone when you were 17 and, it's in your FBI file, but not in your permanent file. I'm like, no, nothing like that. I was like, I got a DUI when I was parked on the side of the road when I was 22 years old. That's it. And she's like, I can't believe this. And she was like, I don't even know. Either the judge is going to accept the motion or he's not. And the motion is, we got to go to trial. And we need time to go to trial. And his lawyers are the worst lawyers ever. And we're going to start over. And this is why we should. And with me sending in and with Cheryl Johnson sending in the 24 pages, that was certified mail, they can't say that they didn't get it.
Right. Right.
So I think that if they wanna, unless he wants to have the most embarrassing, like, final talk, I don't even know what it's called, but on the stand, like the most embarrassing thing that's going to come to haunt him for a very, very long time, because he's not the only one. The lawyers aren't the only one who screwed up over the past 3 years. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
there were multiple things. I mean, everyone loves being a Monday morning quarterback, right? But the fact is that, you know, a lot of things should have been done differently on everyone's end, and you know, it is what it is. But hopefully McFadden does the right thing and says, so you want to go to trial? Okay, great, let's go to trial. But I've already been told by my previous lawyer, Jerry Smith, that's the public defender. He said that he needs a minimum of a year for trial, minimum. Especially with my case, because it's so involved, or they're going to give me a mistrial, and you know that's not going to happen. You know, not in D.C. McFadden would get strung up by the mainstream media if he gave me a mistrial. Do I deserve one? Absolutely. But basically, I mean, realistically, if anyone deserves a mistrial, hey, you know, but
I think you might be in good standing for one.
Yeah, yeah, it might be me. I'm just saying. I mean, the fact is that we have proof that when the government and the judge go into an ex parte room and basically talk in secret, and they start talking about, hey, let's tighten the screws on Flaglin. I know he's gonna flip, and he can then testify on, you know, X, Y, and Z, even though they didn't know anything. And they said, oh, well, we think. And then they tightened down the screws. And that's where all of these, you know, these movements came into. And, you know, if you move into horrible lawyers and you move into, if you add in, incompetent jail staff that didn't help any, and then, you know, marshals just doing what they're told, and, you know, marshals not giving a crap. And, you know what, for 3 years, what was the only thing that I could do? Well, I could burn down jail, you know, metaphorically speaking. And that's what I tried to do. Tom, I heard you had a whole trunkload of paperwork.
You know,
Yes, we do.
it's all gonna come out. It's all gonna come out, Chris. So, you know, thank goodness that you
Fair
are
enough.
as detail oriented as you are. So, yep.
So my other lawyer, Christy Polnecki, she has the latest, I would say the last 6 months, or 8 months of grievances from the DC jail. I would shoot her an email and have her staff just photocopy those grievances really quick, and they're already in order, in group, like in what they could be. But I think she's going to wind up scanning them in anyway, or photocopying and scanning, or whatever. I don't know if she has, she's probably just going to go to Staples and have it done. You know what I mean? Honestly. Unless she has a heavy duty, you know, like a commercial grade scanner and copier. But, so it'll be easy enough just to send you that file, is my point. So once you have that file, you'll have the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us more about the hearing today, though. I mean, I'm so sorry I couldn't be there. I was there.
It was super simple. I'm glad you weren't there, honestly. It was like 10 minutes. It was, hey, Jerry Smith is your lawyer. Do you want Christy Polnecki as your lawyer? Yes. Okay, that's it. You know, I kind of kept it. It's a good thing. He would have held me in contempt today. They were backed up on other court matters, so they wanted me in and out.
Yeah.
Not like I really care, but it wasn't worth it today. he dismissed, like I said, dismissed her one filing. Tom, also make sure that if you do want to testify if they do deny everything and testify at my sentencing, or want anyone else to testify at my sentencing, please just put your just add your names and shoot her an email and say these are names to be added in on for Clackamas sentencing.
Yeah, I'll make sure to do that. But listen, before she was and that.
She is approved now.
Okay.
Yeah, she's approved. So if Judge McFadden would have ever had one of these hearings when Joe McBride up and quit, without permission, by the way. Yes, something was signed, but it wasn't dated, and he was supposed to come back with very, very important evidence to my case, and he never did. But if this hearing would have taken place like it did today, like it should have, we would have never been in this predicament. I would have still been there with, no, you know what, this is the reason why I want him to leave, or he wanted to leave, and this is the reason why we're not getting along, and this is this, and this is this. If that would have taken place, this whole thing would have been a totally different, scenario, and that's we're talking 2 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
Or a year and a half ago, a year ago at least. I don't even know when. But the fact is that, if that would have taken place,
If I can get in.
none of this other stuff would have ever taken place.
Hey, Chris.
Maria Rodriguez would have never, go ahead.
It's John.
Chris, can you hear me?
Yep, yes, sir.
Yeah, this is John Haynes. How are you?
How you doing, sir?
Good. I've got a question for you. You were actually one of the people I wrote about when you very first got here. I believe it was in December of 2021 after you got here. And in the next few months, I actually got some copies of some of your complaints that you somehow forwarded to me. Do you want me to go back and see if I can locate those to get them to your lawyer?
So yes and no. I mean, if they just go in with Tom has a giant vat of complaints. If they go in order, or if they're kind of, not to sound like a Hollywood guy, but if they're like, if they're juicy, then yeah, I mean, sure.
Well, I'll go back through them.
Shoot them on over.
I'll go back through them and I'll compare notes with Tom. And if there's anything not already there, I will make copies and add them.
That'd be great.
Yeah, this was back
thank you
when.
so much.
This is the original stuff, and I think it's pretty typical. You were being
Starved to death.
you were being withheld medication, and of course the food situation, but those types of things. But anyway, I'll get with Tom and make sure that it's available if it's
I
already
appreciate
there. All right.
So, there's,
Thank you.
we're planning on having a scanning party to digitize stuff.
I thank you guys so much. I'm so sorry that, again, my John Gross has been great, but he drops the ball a lot, and because he's unorganized. And I told him if he couldn't handle it, to give it to you guys to do it. And he said, no, I'm going to do it, and I'm just going to do it slowly but surely. Well, that was a year ago.
Yeah, it's all good, Chris. Don't worry about it.
Crazy.
It doesn't matter. We're all good. We're gonna get it all done, and everything's great. So, yeah.
You guys can use whatever's in there. You guys can use. Just make sure that everything's on the up and up as far as legality. I can just.
Yeah, we'll talk later about all this, okay? Don't need to do it tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, for those of you guys who aren't right there in Northern Neck, and don't understand the amount of paperwork that I've been talking about for now 3 years has been daily notes, full grievances, every single one of my grievances.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Every single one of my grievances has been copied or not copied, but saved, and the carbon copies have been saved. I have testimonies from other people. I have, witness statements from like 30 or 40 people that went to Northern Neck Jail in there. Make sure you look out for those. And I have, because I couldn't work on my case for 3 years, I did the only thing that I could do as an American, and that's bring down this prison system and this jail system that's just absolutely as un-American as you can get. So I did my due diligence, I think.
That's where we're going with this. That's where we're going, Chris. Thanks to you,
Yeah.
man. Thanks to you and everybody else who's been through this like you.
I really appreciate it, and it's because of these guys giving us a voice. A little bit.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Because you just got cut off.
I didn't want to do too much talking about that. I mean, this is big stuff, guys. Let's not talk about it anymore. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Ava.
Outside.
I don't know. There's a lot of sirens out here in
That
little
sounds like
sleepy
me.
Warsaw. Hello. Time to Save Humanity is there. Jane. Welcome. Lisa. Critical Thinker. Annette. Got a lot of followers tonight. Thank you, everybody. And, of course, spread it around. This is big, big stuff. So these people need our help. That's why we do this. That's why we're here. Did you guys see the live stream I did on the cemetery?
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. I did the Congressional Cemetery is right next door to the DC jail, the correction center, and it's right next door, literally a brick wall away from where the Freedom Corner people gather every single night. And you can walk around the corner and just take a walk through this 35-acre congressional cemetery. And I did a little live stream that's on our Northern Neck Patriots YouTube channel, and you can just see it. It's about 8 minutes or something like that. But pretty cool little thing about that. So, yeah, 35 acres is quite large, especially in a city like DC. So I think there's plenty of things to look at and check out there. What else do we want to talk about? We got the new people. We haven't listed the names for a long time. I guess maybe I can do that. How much do you want to talk about Jonathan's thing? Is there anything there you want to speak
I
about
don't
at
know,
all?
should I?
I don't know. I mean, just...
Let's sit on that for a
So,
little.
so what we're talking about is that as we continue to correspond with these people who've passed through the gulag and out into federal, penitentiaries and so on, it becomes a way different form of existence for them. Some people have said that it's like you are under a kingdom, or there's a king or a queen of the kingdom that you are under when you get into a federal facility, and they said their word is final, and so on and so on. And so, yeah, the one that we're concerned about has actually been in the news quite a bit lately for abuses and deaths and so on. So we've got to figure out how we can keep, the advocacy going for these people that are in there, and make sure that they don't just get lost up, caught up in the wheels of the cogs. So.
Yep, I'd like to add to that too. This is something that all of us working with the J6ers, work with. I've had instances where people, detainees, ask me to release information only to have their family contact me and ask me not to. They're worried about their safety, and that's a legitimate concern. I've brought this up with inmates or detainees, depending on their status, and I've even reminded them, hey, if I publish this, you might suffer consequences, and that's exactly what's quite often happened. So it's a delicate balance. Quite often we're their only voice, us and people like us, and it's a balancing act. Even though it might help the overall cause, what's going to do to them individually. And I have to say, a lot of them have been very brave in speaking out. Now, that does change, and Tom touched on this. Once they get into the federal system, it's a different deal. They are actively prevented from reaching out. And in fact, as I alluded to earlier, I recently had a phone call and then a follow-up letter telling me what the phone call couldn't tell me, asking me to get it out, the information out, and this is about some of the conditions in the prisons, but not to attach your name to it. Well, I can do that, but these federal people are very devious, and they scan pretty much everything they get an opportunity to. As an example, at the Northern Neck Regional Jail, I've talked to several people, including staff. There's a room for consultation with your attorney, and it's supposed to be private. But they have a speaker, and they monitor everything these people say with their attorneys. Now, of course, that's highly illegal, but they do it anyway. And hold it, we got a call coming in.
Saved by the bell. $2.21. How much are we gonna have?
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $1.95. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hello. How is everybody doing tonight?
We're doing good. Who we got?
You've got John Todd for the cold. Kind of like the normal John Todd, except feeling way crappier.
Oh, shoot. Too bad. And they don't have NyQuil in there. Oh, man.
No, they don't. I tell you what, I felt like such crap last night, and I took Tylenol and ibuprofen, and I woke up drenched and sweat 2 hours later. And I was like, hey, maybe I broke it. Nope. Disappointing.
Wow. Got to do the rope-a-dope.
Yeah. Well, you have 3 weeks to recover before your sentencing.
No, I could go into my sentencing feeling like crap, and I would care less. Who wants to go in there feeling good?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
If I'm down, might as well keep kicking me while I'm down, right?
Exactly.
Well, how do you feel about this week, though? I mean, with the Supreme Court case on Tuesday on 1512C2 and the whistleblowers on Wednesday, what do you think? Have you heard about that?
I heard briefly about it, I believe, with closing statements on CC's thing. But as far as the whistleblowers, I don't know enough to know what's going on with that. But I will tell you this. The dude who lit himself on fire outside of, what's it called? The Trump thing in New York? That was like Idiocracy coming about. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie, but.
Oh, yes. Idiocracy is an awesome movie.
Was this a recent fire thing?
Dang, that dude was.
Yeah, guy set himself on fire.
Yeah, this was today.
Oh,
You
okay.
didn't hear about it.
He lit himself on fire
Oh, I didn't know
in
it.
New York. Once they came out with all those jurors and then the 6 alternates, I guess the grass was still scorching as they were reporting on it. I mean, it was hot news.
I'm sorry, I just don't get lighting yourself on fire. I just don't get it. That's not, I don't know. I mean, I would jump off a cliff or a bridge or something, but lighting yourself on fire, I
Come
don't
on,
get it.
baby, light my fire.
It
Like,
is,
I don't understand it either, but I mean, I've burnt myself before, and none of the times was it
Fun.
intentional. But I mean, if this guy got to read the warning label, then maybe he thought it was cologne.
yeah.
I lit a cigarette and said, "Ooh, that's hot."
Yeah, yeah, and it's not,
Gobble, gobble, gobble. We got another one.
Yep,
Yeah, right, exactly.
the dumber they are.
Gives whole new meaning to raindrops. Yes.
The early
And yet
reports,
they keep putting us brilliant people in jail.
the early reports say that it was a protest against the elitists and globalists taking over everything. It was only in very basic terms, they didn't go into details, but it appears it was some type of protest against government overreach.
Yeah, how are you going to protest that more than once?
Yeah,
You know-
right?
You know when you burn yourself.
Yep.
I mean, like, you would think if you're going to protest, you're going to keep on protesting. Like still in election stuff. Like, I mean, people still to this day are like, nope, I don't recognize it. That guy was like, man, I protested so hard I can't ever protest again.
that's the ultimate protest.
Yeah, because he made it very far. They were like, can't take you seriously, you're dead.
Well,
I
there
don't know
was,
if the dude survived or not, but usually when you burn yourself like that, after it's over like 85% of your body, like most of the time you end up dead.
yeah.
Pretty much.
Not
Yep.
Well, the one I thought you were talking about was the one who did it in front of the embassy like 3 or 4 weeks ago, right?
Oh,
That was
yeah.
was
Now, I
that?
heard that one was like pro-Palestine or whatever, that they did that in protest of that too.
Yeah.
And I don't understand stupidity, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That
It's
is
like,
all around us.
it's one thing to feel like you want to commit suicide. It's a completely different thing to pick the most painful way to go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather drown myself than burn myself, and I don't even like water, so I'd stay the hell out of it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they're saying that this guy was chanting some kind of conspiracy that says that Trump is with Biden and they're going to fascist us all, coup us to death. And I don't know, man. If he's thinking that way, maybe he is crazy. was crazy.
And proof it was over.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. This is craziness.
I refuse to try to get inside the head of that natural-born retarded American. And I don't mean that like in a derogatory way, but those stupid dudes who are just plain old dumb. Like, that is what you call them.
Well, you know, one of the problems is the news media sees that stuff. They spin it so that it makes a certain group look stupid. It's nuts. It's nuts.
And then they try to make the liberals sound a whole lot less stupid, and they just succeed at making them even dumber than what they do sound like.
True story that.
Not by much, but
Yep. So
they still dumb.
yeah, I think somebody's paying too much attention out there, lighting himself on fire like that, though. That's
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to challenge those people that want to set themselves on fire to just start reading books. It'll take away too much of your time to think on your own, and maybe you'll get smarter over the time.
that would be useful because these people are all ate up with the dum-dum.
I mean, you know what I'm doing with my time in here? I'm reading books, I'm playing cards, and I'm trying to sharpen my mind. Not to say, what would it be like to catch myself on fire?
Not too much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You
Well,
know,
what are you reading these
Learn
days?
how to make some-
What are you reading?
So I've read Just Mercy, David and Goliath. Let's see. what
You're
else
David.
I read Robin.
Right, you talked about that one.
I read Unbroken, and that's 4. The other 4 are I started writing them down because I'm stupid to remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just move on. But Unbroken, that's a phenomenal story, isn't it? That's Louis Zamperini, right?
And yes, and the book goes into so much more detail than the movie did that it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I read it in 2 days.
Wow. Wow.
I just couldn't put it down because I could see the movie in my head, and like it was like a 2-day movie where I just killed time.
Oh, nice.
But so Living in the Days of Deception, somebody sent me that one. Robin, somebody sent me that one. David and Goliath was sent to me as well. The Greatest Espionage Story, involving a Russian spy who became a double agent for the British. Then I read Just Mercy, which is about like the death penalty stuff and how they were trying to come up with I can't remember the name of the organization that started fighting against the death penalty for innocent people. But then there's In 50 Years We'll All Be Chipped by Adam Carolla. Then I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, and Unbroken. Those are my 8 books.
That's pretty good.
Beer and hell.
That's really good.
In 50 Years We'll All Be Chips was hilarious. And like, the dude's a liberal, but he's not like your normal liberal. He's like one of those ones you can talk to and probably have a beer with and just have a great conversation.
Yeah.
Without being,
You're wrong, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Racist.
but those are the kind of people I'd rather talk to anyway.
Yeah. Hey, that's actually what we want is people that can challenge our minds a little bit, to think outside the box.
Right. I mean, hey, when I was growing up, you wanted to be able to talk to people and be able to debate things or like talk about things in a way that made you both question everything. Whereas nowadays, too many people agree and they don't question enough, and then they just spew hate and stuff, and then just try to make you sound crazy, even though they sound crazy for making you sound it, because they're just screaming in your face, calling you racist, bigot, or whatever else, and you're like, oh man, I'd hate to see you in a debate class.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
When I joined the military, so many people had different points of view, but we all got along, and it didn't matter about politics or not. We didn't care what you looked like. If you were stupid, we thought you were stupid, but we respected each other enough to
That sounds right.
tell each other how we felt, and then just be like, that's all right, let's move on.
That's true.
Nowadays, people are like, oh, I don't even know what that means.
It's funny you mentioned when you were in the military. What branch were you in?
Marine.
I have to look up to you then. I was only in the Air Force. But
Oh man, my sister was in the Air Force as well.
really, hey, I got bragging points on breakfast, because the Air Force does have better food.
Oh, yeah.
You got better food, you got better barracks, you got better everything.
Yeah.
We got air conditioners for our 16-foot by 16-foot tents.
We had the tents and we had AC units, just whether or not they went down or not was a whole different story. But when the heater went down, I was okay with that because I had a sleeping bag and a heated blanket. So as long as we still had power, I didn't care about the heat.
There
And
you
they
go.
gave us those jacket and pants that were like sleeping bags. They gave us those.
The one thing you were talking about though is you get all those guys together, day in and day out, and doing what you got to do. You're right. It doesn't matter what somebody thinks or believes, unless of course he's stupid. Stupid can be fatal.
Yeah. And even when they're stupid, you're just like, you know what, I forgive you, you don't know any better. Your parents didn't teach you well enough.
But they all still brothers.
Well, they tried, and you just couldn't come past being too stupid.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm still gonna protect you.
Exactly. If you fall, I'm gonna pick you up. And you know, I was in 30 or 40 years ago, and I still remember all of their names.
Yeah, and I talked to one of my buddies. He's like, "What are you doing there all day?" I was like, and he's liberal too, and he's like, I was like, "Not a whole lot." He's like, "Man, this is so stupid that they got you in." He goes, "When you just have people protesting at the White House and again at the Capitol for other things, and not one of them have been arrested." He goes, "If you're gonna do it across the board. Don't pick and choose. This is all political." I was like, "Hey, your word's not mine, but I agree with you."
Yep. Did you say that person was a lefty?
All this is the way to shut us up. Yeah, he doesn't like Trump and he doesn't like Biden either. But like he's libertarian by nature. Like he would choose
Kennedy.
but he doesn't like voting anymore.
Huh. That's
I asked him
unfortunate.
if he vote for Trump, and he goes, "I'm sorry, I love you." He goes, "But I'm not voting for nobody." He goes, "Just so it can get swapped." And I was like, "That's fair." I said, "I can respect your honesty."
That works. So yeah, it's amazing.
You have 1 minute remaining.
You know, you're in there with all those guys, and it looks like, you know, it's kind of a rerun of the Marine Corps.
I mean, I just tipped for a bunch of guys tonight. They're like, "What do I need to throw in?" And I was like, "Nothing, man. You guys are good." And they're like, "Whoa. Man, I don't care if you throw in or not. I mean, I'm in here with you. We're going through the same stuff. Might as well just, make the best of it. Show kindness wherever possible."
Yep. Exactly.
That sounds like that's what they do.
Need more wisdom in this world.
And amen to that. And I need more wisdom in my life, but that's why I sit there and I'm trying to read more. My goal is to have 15 books done by the time I leave here. Means I got 7 more to go, and I'm working on one right now.
All right, I got one coming your way, man. I got one coming your way.
Nice. If anybody's able to help,
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
We know what that was.
Would you give his Gibson Go or whatever if you have it, Cheryl? Do you have it?
What's his last name?
Todd.
He's got John. What is it? 3 names, first names?
John George Todd.
John George Todd.
Or something like that.
John.
I don't know if that's the right order.
I think you're right. Yeah. Man, listen to the sirens out here.
Something going on out there.
Well, listen, we've got a lot of people tuning in. This is great. A lot of conversations going on here. I can't keep up with it. We need a moderator. That's somebody who could actually go in here and tune
Do we
in.
need a
and
Mr. Producer?
No, but we just got to make sure it's all working.
Well, John George Todd, his inmate number is 388351. So you could go on and do Give Send Go, find John George Todd III.
Awesome. Thanks, Cheryl.
Oh, also, I wanted to add, if any of you would like to, Peter Navarro is in prison right now. I believe he's in Miami. In fact, I believe he's in the very same facility as our friend Barry Ramey. I regret to inform you, I forgot to bring his address with me. I meant to. I was going to announce it, but I don't think it'd be hard to find. But anyway, he's going to be in there for a little over 3 more months. And as you recall, he was locked up for contempt of Congress because he would not comply with the illegal J6 committee. They ignored his immunity and locked him up. And just for sake of comparison, if you remember Obama's Attorney General, Eric Holder, did the exact same thing, and charges were never brought at all. He wasn't even charged. And that was defying Congress, not an illegally constituted committee. Because don't forget, when this all goes to court and to appeal, J6 was not constitutionally formed. The minority party is supposed to be able to name their own representatives. They were denied that right. And you'll hear more about this later. The whole Jan 6 fiasco is falling apart. And I think what Tom brought up, the session he was at with the 4 whistleblowers, that is the death knell for J6. You'll look back a few months from now, and that's going to be one of the seminal moments. I have to say, Tom, you picked a good one to go to. That's all I can say.
I was encouraged by Nikki to go there because I was going to be in town for the Supreme Court one anyway, and I got to say, we walked out of there feeling like it was an historic moment. I guess I did, but there was mixed opinion of what was going on, and you know why? I think the reason why, I'll tell you after this phone call.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
James Grant.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is 27 cents. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey James, we only got 27 cents. How you doing? We only got 27 cents on this
Oh
telephone.
man.
So hurry up, talk fast, talk fast.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? Yeah, we got it. so Scott Miller just got back, another day to DC jail. He sentenced to 66 months. So not a good day for him. He was hoping for 3 to 4 years, and you know, it's just part of this crazy experience is that people come back and you know they come back with a number, and we all know ahead of time, and we can all kind of plan. And you know, I gave him my my dinner. I gotta give my special dietary dinner, and yeah, it's rough sometimes. People get this news. I remember once in Northern Neck, a guy came back and he had a life sentence, and
Wow.
I was always just jokester in the pod. I went by J6. People called me J6 back then, and I guess he felt like he could open up and yeah, man, and he was calling me J6, but he was like, I didn't really know the guy, but he knew I was a jokester in the pod. But yeah, they gave me life like I thought. I'm like, I didn't really know that, but what do you tell someone in that situation? I tried to commiserate with them as best I could, but just if people come back, it's like, heavy stuff happens in here. And I really didn't have many words. I talked to them about the lawyer at the time, the guy got life. And, I tried to give him hope for an appeal, and, I asked if he was happy with his lawyer. And he said he wasn't, in the end, elderly lawyer. But, and it was a drug conviction, too. So it's like, if anyone doesn't need life, murder or rape someone, I think that's a stronger case for it, but,
So,
do you, I don't know how long it's 27. How long do you think the 27 minutes, 27 cents is going to last here?
I have no idea.
I guess you just go, but
I
I guess we'll find out. But
yeah, we'll find out.
Tell him to Bill Quaglin.
You have 1
There we
minute
go.
remaining.
There you go.
There we go.
okay, yeah.
Now we know the
You
rest
have
of the story.
60 seconds remaining.
Oh, not
Okay,
even 1
now we're
minute.
getting a little repetitive. Like we heard you.
Exactly.
Ate up some of your time.
Well, catch me up on Northern Net. What's going on in Virginia?
Well, not too much out here. We haven't been to the jail for a vigil for a little while, but I think we're going to start to plan some specific events, specific dates to go there.
Especially with summer coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think you better plan something, Tom. 2024 is here, and it's crazy. It's something in the air, and it's a year with an eclipse, and I think all the weird stuff is out, and it's some special year. And like 1983, the NC State basketball team made it to the Final Four, and it's just Americans. We're ready for an upset. And the 15-12, I think is just one of the, another thing that needs to happen. For things to go our way. We need so many to go our way, but I think it's the next in line.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
So that was James Grant. Give us and go, free James.
I guess Tom's over there doing administrative work.
we have to put more money on our account, otherwise we're not getting any more phone calls.
No.
How does it work?
There'll be a phone call and then we won't be able to log in until I put some money on the book. So that's what it'll be. I'll have to do that. Yeah, they run it out and then
Oh, so you can't like just add more arbitrarily?
probably somebody smarter than me could go in to manage my account, Maurice, if
All
that's
right,
what
I
you're
won't
trying
put
to
you
say.
Did we just run out of money? Did we just run out of money since it was 27?
Okay, let's all go home. Let's go home. I'm done.
Everybody want to put money on the account?
No anthem tonight.
Don't know what's happening now, but, you
Well,
know?
think about that. That last time I had to add money was we were at the Northern Neck Regional Jail.
Really?
I haven't had to do that
I thought
here.
it was down there. We were at that table in the back,
Down where?
here, but in the back.
Oh, I don't know.
That was January.
So it's been a while.
Well, I mean, look, when I write this down, each call is approximately $1.40 or something like that. So, you know, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Oh, it was 363, then 195, so 295.
Yeah.
195.
yeah, it's not a lot. The calls aren't a lot.
So we'll get it caught up and we'll be back in business.
And we got it today, though.
Hey, Anderson Elevator Drilling, tell you what, glad you're tuning in.
What about today?
All right. So I was going to say something prior. You recall what we were talking about?
I'm so glad that I'm not the only one that forgot about that floppy. Drop it.
Anybody over there?
No, it's all right.
Let's go rewind the tape and see what you were saying.
Yeah, we'll figure it out later.
So I guess that means no more calls tonight?
No. It means the next call that comes in, I'm going to have to input my credit card.
Okay.
That's all.
Oh, that's the part that everyone here wanted to know.
I didn't bring my purse.
I think this highlights, though, something we mentioned before, that the format is rapidly changing, and it's gonna
Oh, yeah.
affect everybody that's conducting vigils. I know of at least 4, us, Lewisburg, there's somewhere in California, and then there's another one. There are 4. Then there are other people that have their own prayer vigils and things like that.
Right.
There are a lot of website and blogs. You know, I'm not thinking of any of them right now, but there are a bunch of good ones. What's the lady's name that was with you? Jen Baker. She's got an excellent program.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now, but there are a bunch of them. Someone else you might want to look up. There's a guy named Ivan Raiklin. I've written about him before. He's served in the DOD, in the military, highly decorated, a real expert on a variety of things. And he recently did 4 segments on Cowboy Logic where he talked about the inner workings of the Capitol Police Force. In fact, my editorial, for those of you who don't know, I'm the editor of the Northern Neck Sentinel. Our current editorial talks about this, how corrupt they are and how there's really no oversight whatsoever of them. That's how James Byrd got away with murdering Ashley Babbitt. And not only was he not punished, he wasn't even reprimanded, but he was promoted. He was also given VIP housing for 6 months when they were hiding his name, which is also a violation of the law. So anyway, this guy, Ivan Raiklin, has done a deep dive into this. And basically what it turns out to be is that the Speaker of the House and a few politicians are the ones really running it. So if you wonder why it's corrupt, basically Nancy Pelosi has been running it. And even though we have the House now, they still are effectively in control. So I would invite all of you to check into that. That name is Raiklin. That's Ivan Raiklin. I would advise you to, I believe he's got a Substack, but if you just do a search on that name, it'll bring up all kinds of stuff. But as this continues to unfold, including with these 4 whistleblowers that just testified. What you're going to find out is going to be very unsavory, and hopefully people can be brought up on criminal charges, because these are criminal acts, and they're only being enforced one way, and it's time for that to stop.
Well, thank you, John, and you made me realize what it was I was going to talk about, which was the whistleblower hearing. And we came away from there with sort of mixed feelings about how it went, because there was some extreme Trump derangement syndrome crap going on. So Ms. Torres, Torres, who is the ranking majority member, she just turned it into an anti-Trump, Trump thing. That's all she did. Mr. Morell also, he said we almost lost our democracy. Like I said earlier, thank God for Mr. Griffith from Virginia. I think he's the 9th district, I'm not sure, but
I think so.
He said the January 6th Unselect Committee, I think I added the Unselect part, the January 6th Committee did not interview any one of these witnesses. He made that point for the record. Yeah, so their testimony was out there, but they didn't use it, they didn't pick it up. But yeah, when you have people standing up there and speaking for their allotted 5 minutes and don't ask a single question, and they just go on and on about how Trump was so bad and all of Trump supporters are so bad, it's just
Political grandstanding.
It just makes you wonder if you're listening to reality, because there's people that are trying to tell the truth, and then there are people that are just spouting complete untruth, and it has a surreal effect.
I have come to the conclusion that this Trump deranged syndrome that you're describing, even by politicians that get up there and sit in front of committees, that is just one massive conspiracy theory. The guy hasn't been in the White House for 3+ years.
Right.
And yet they still want to blame everything on him. And yet the guy that is allegedly legit, the first thing he did was get rid of all of those Trump executive orders. He reversed everything first day. So blaming Trump is a conspiracy theory. Just saying.
Right.
It aggravates me.
One thing I find amusing is the far left is in their death throes. They know that their existence is being threatened. And that, to quote Joe Biden, that is not hyperbole. And hold it, we got a phone call coming in.
You may lose them.
Hello, this is a call from
Scott Miller.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To hear your payment options, press 0. To receive
Quiet,
a
be
call,
quiet.
hang up, or to receive calls from this inmate, you must first fund an advanced pay calling account. Press 5 to quickly set up an account by the party which you called has selected to set up or fund a prepaid account for their phone number. This call will now be disconnected so that a prepaid account can be funded for future calls. Please try
That's
your
what they
call
did the
again
last time.
in a few minutes.
Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you for choosing to create or recharge your prepaid account with MasterCard or Visa. You may purchase between $25 and $100 of prepaid phone time. Enter the dollar amount of your purchase amount, now followed by the pound key. For $50, please enter your credit card number now, followed by the pound sign.
Can you press that off? I don't want this to be on speaker. Just turn it off.
Whatever it is, multi-vehicle accident.
roadblocks, so we can't leave. They got my name.
They're not setting up roadblocks. If you pay attention, you can tell the difference between a fire engine and a patrol car. Lots of fire engines today. I say that as I wear my hearing aids.
All right, we're back. We got money in there now. I didn't know if I repeat my credit card. I just didn't want to put that out on the
Oh,
line.
yeah. Well, I would have wrote it down.
Yeah, if I'd end up with a new wardrobe, we'd know what happened.
Well, yeah, and you can probably tell by the keychains what numbers that you put, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, listen, I think this is gonna work out probably pretty good, because if we wait a few minutes, we might get another call and finish out.
Maybe you'll call back.
Yeah. Larry, is this on? Yeah. So I went to this talk on Sunday down in Heathsville about Leedstown. The archaeologist from St. Mary's who had come over, her name is Dr. King, and she did a great job explaining, first of all, the history that she was able to gather about Leedstown, Virginia, without even going there, right? Available online, kind of stuff, historical stuff that's out there.
Right.
And then they put together a field survey that they did in 2018, and they went out and they did shovel test pits, which they go every 25 or 50 feet in a grid pattern, and they dig a small hole and they filter everything they find and they record it. And so by doing that, they were able to start to create a map of where the structures were that were there originally, because there's nothing left of Leedstown right now, correct?
Right. No.
Tell me what you know. Go ahead and tell our audience what you know about Leedstown.
Well, I know about Leedstown now is just a beautiful place, and just all natural from back years ago, as far as with people living there, and where I spend most of my time there is on 7 acres right on the Rappahannock River, and the grass is maintained by me, and buildings have been restored, and it's a lot of history right there. And like Tom was saying, what they have done in the past and what they're doing now in the future, the history is amazing. So the celebration like next year.
Yeah, the
sometime.
250.
The Northern Neck 250 celebration is coming up, so that's going to be big. And
Is that April next year or something?
yeah, I have to look it up. I had it written down. I had it at home, but I don't remember it. But so Leedstown, for people that have heard us talk about this, I've read it before on vigils. Leedstown is famous for in 1766. They put out a resolution against the Stamp Act, and a lot of places around the colonies put out resolutions to get the Stamp Act. But the neat thing about Leedstown is that they put some teeth in their resolution. First of all, they said, they acknowledged that they're loyal subjects of the king, but their problem was with Parliament, and that they were being taxed without representation, and so on and so on. And they basically said, anybody who comes in here and tries to do this, we're basically going to tar and feather them and send them out of town. They got pretty severe about what they were going to do. So that was fascinating. That's right here, 10 miles away, 15 miles away from where, 15 miles? Yeah.
20 most, yeah.
So I think we want to have a celebration at Leedstown, because it's just, it's local, it's here, it's right up the road from the Northern Neck Jail. So many patriots have been through that jail. So many people have come and stood outside that jail. So many patriots are involved in this movement for freedom and for truth and for justice. And you know what? Let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate that history. Let's celebrate that legacy. Let's celebrate people standing up and standing for something. You know, that's all we can do in this life. So.
Great.
I can add to that. I used to go to they have an annual commemoration every year. Sponsored by the Historical Society. I think Bevan's Oysters always contributes. Anyway, hold that thought, we got a call coming in.
Hello, this is a prepaid debit call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello, Northern Neck.
Hey, who's there? How you doing?
Hey, this is Scott Miller. I'm doing all right. To be honest, I've had better days. I just got sentenced today, so still kind of processing that.
Yeah, we heard, man. We heard, and yeah, it wasn't anything to make your heart go flutter, right? It wasn't like that best thing you were hoping for, was it?
No, it was definitely worse than I was hoping for. Yeah, like I said, still processing it. I mean, so one of the main things was we lost the battle against the planning enhancement in court, which I kind of thought we were gonna win that one because not many J6s that I know of have had planning enhancements attached to their charges. So I thought we had a pretty good shot there, but the judge didn't go for it. The prosecution was actually able to convince the judge that I was wearing body armor that day, which I wasn't, mainly because I was wearing a bulky Carhartt jacket, and they all just thought it looked like I had something, bulky underneath my jacket, but it was just the jacket itself.
So not a plate, not a plate vest or anything like that at all, just the Carhartt.
Yeah, I owned body armor, but I didn't wear it on the 6th. In fact, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I actually never even figured out how to wear the body armor. I figured out how to get the plates in it, but I never quite figured out how to properly attach it on. But they were able to convince the judge that I had body armor. So that kind of added to her, wanting to keep that planning enhancement. So that kept my guideline range up pretty high. I think it was 56 to 71, and ultimately she kind of went right in the middle of that. So it was disappointing. It was frustrating. I kind of felt like I was trying to do pretty much the right thing from the day that I got arrested by the FBI, and even beforehand. I mean, I listened to my lawyer's advice. I went along with the process. I mean, I didn't, I obviously tried to, defend myself as best I could with my limited means, but, having never been through this before, I realized that it's just a whole other world.
Right.
The letter that I wrote to the judge, I mean, she almost just kind of tore it apart. She didn't really believe that, I guess she didn't believe that my remorse was sincere. It just kind of left me feeling like I shouldn't have even really bothered to make an attempt to really show any remorse or anything. So I'm still kind of trying to process that. It was just I'll be honest, it was a brutal hearing. My wife was there, my family was there. My wife spoke on my behalf, and that was probably the hardest part. Just listening to her, explain to the judge that, hey, like, my husband's not this monster that you guys are making him out to be, and just whatever kind of time he gets, like, I'm going to stick with him through this. And we have this child on the way, and we went through a lot, just just to get to this point where we're about to become parents, and you know, it's just kind of cut me to see the fact that, like, you know, my wife is suffering through this as well.
Well, you know,
so it was kind of rough.
Hey, well, Scott, as you're talking, a couple of things that are occurring to me. One of them is that I've seen other guys take a much more harsh approach, like, you know, screw them the whole way through, just like flip them off the whole way. Don't go along with it. You know who I'm talking about. Different people have had that kind of approach, right? And what does that do? It's the same, or if not a little bit worse, you know. So, I mean, don't feel bad about yourself that you tried to, you know, work within the system and do the right thing, so to speak, along the whole way, because the cards were pretty well stacked against every one of you guys, and that's the thing, right?
Yeah, it definitely feels like that after today. I mean, I guess I kind of set myself up by getting my hopes up a little bit for a much lighter sentence because of you know, other J6ers that you know, their sentences that I was able to find. I was, you know, able to compare you know, what charges they were convicted of and what their sentences were, and I was able to go on the tablet and try to find as many details as possible and just find similar cases, so I could start to get an idea of, you know, what kind of sentences people are giving that, you know, their cases look similar to mine. And the one that you know, really stuck out to me was a guy who his nickname was Hockey Stick Man. He was sentenced back in February, and I mean, I know his name and everything. I don't know if it's like improper to say his name. I'm not trying to like throw him under the bus or anything. But he was sentenced by Chutkin in February, and he had similar charges as me, but he also had the 1512 charge. And just looking at the facts of his case, I actually thought that I was going to get a lighter sentence than his. So you know, I was kind of, I had my hopes up for that.
Well,
but that's not what happened.
You just put your finger on it, which is the 1512C charge. I think that based upon the hearing this week, knowing that the Supreme Court is likely to overturn it, then that's going to affect the sentencing behavior of any cases that came after it, frankly, and that's just unfortunate, you know. So, but listen, it's not, you know, this is not the end of the world. I mean, you know, yes, you got sentenced to that, but I don't believe you're gonna serve that time, Scott. I do not believe you're gonna serve that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
66.
9 months from tomorrow. Yeah. 9 months from tomorrow, we might have a new person in the White House.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I just got off the phone with my wife, and you know, she kind of you know, said the same thing to me. You know, we're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you know, it's just just trying to like process it. Obviously, it's been a long day. I've been up since 5 a.m. But you know, I'll come out of this having learned a lot of valuable lessons. That's for sure.
Oh, you know you will. So tell us about that. I mean, I've heard that same thing from some of the other guys. 5 a.m. It was a lot of hurry up and wait kind of stuff. Did you get to eat breakfast? Did you? I mean, how was the process for you?
Yeah. So today it actually wasn't as bad as it has been at other times. The last time I went to the courthouse, they actually got me up at 3:30 in the morning. And I wasn't even anticipating going there because my lawyer didn't notify me that it was for my PSR interview. And my lawyer didn't give me a heads up. So when they woke me up in the middle of the night to go to court, I was like, something must be wrong. So, you know, I get on the tablet and text my wife. I check with the guard. I'm like, are you sure it's me? Are you sure it's me? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm in my head, I'm like, why is there a court hearing today? Like, I'm not supposed to have any kind of hearings for a while. So today it was a little better because they let me sleep in the spot. You know, and so yeah, you get up, you shower, someone comes and takes you down to, it's called R&D, and receiving and discharge. It's basically just a holding area for inmates that are coming to, or coming from or going to court. So me and Quaglin were down there this morning. We both had court today. They do give you the breakfast while you're down there. Me and Quaglin didn't really eat it. I just drank a little bit of the juice. I happened to come down with a cold yesterday, and also just, you know, knowing how stressful today would be, I appetite. You know, the breakfasts are nothing too much to write home about anyway. So you go down there into a holding cell for an hour, maybe 2 hours, kind of depending on how early they brought you down there, and then you get in the bus, and then you drive over to the courthouse, and then you're turned over to the custody of the marshals, and then you're just waiting in the dungeon underneath the U.S. courthouse for however long until your hearing starts. That's pretty uncomfortable. It was busy in there today, so it was very loud. You're kind of just laying on a metal bench trying to kind of get some rest, but you know, people are shouting and there's bright lights shining in your eyes, so it's not a very fun procedure. So at least I don't have to go back through that process again now that I'm done with sentencing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just always a very long day when you go to court.
Wow. Yeah, I guess thanks for sharing that, because I have heard a little bit about it. I saw Quaglin at one of his hearings a couple weeks ago, and there's a kind of a holding room right outside of the courtroom, right? So what's that like? Is that just that's just kind of like a cage, you know, or they just kind of put you in there. Like if there's a recess during your court hearing, they'll put you in there. You know, they'll put you in there, you know, before the judge enters the courtroom and stuff. So yeah, like you said, it's hurry up and wait. It's just kind of being moved from one cage to another cage throughout the day. And yeah, it's difficult. You know, you're walking around with hand and foot shackles, and
right.
You know, you have no real contact with the outside world. You're trying to prepare yourself for this, you know, extremely impactful event that's about to happen in your life, and you know, you don't really have much to go off of other than your own mind and just your prayers to God at that point. So, you know, but you know, like I said, I'm trusting God through this procedure. I know we'll be all right. You know, fingers crossed. 9 months from tomorrow, this will be over. No matter how long it takes, I'm going to have a loving wife and a beautiful baby boy to go back home to. So yeah, you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I definitely have some regrets of, you know, certain things that you know, with certain ways that I handled my case. Now I see where maybe I could have done something differently, but, you know, like I said, I've never been through this process before, and, you know, all of 2023, I was on house arrest, and I was under strict conditions, so I really had no contact with the outside world. So there really wasn't much that I could do other than just kind of whatever my lawyer said to do. So I found that it actually wasn't until I got here to the DC jail that I actually started having a more active role in my own case and my own defense. Being able to talk to other J6ers and find out what their case's evolution has been like, and start to look at some actual legal, you know, resources. So yeah, a lot of lessons learned that hopefully I won't have to apply in the future. But yeah.
Right, and hopefully, like, we don't have to teach this to too many other people, because what I hope that's going to happen is that your experience, and you and all your brothers in there.
You have 1 minute remaining.
it's gonna cause people to say, wait a minute, this is enough, we're not doing this, we're not locking up people for different political opinions. That's what you guys are an example
Yeah.
of, and we cannot allow that to happen. So, hey, it's your minute, man, you got a minute left.
Oh man, well, I mean, yeah, I've already done kind of venting. Like I said, I'm still processing it. A shout out to my family and friends and my pastor and my wife who all, supported me through this and came today. And, I love all of them. I love all you guys, like supporters down there in Northern Neck and up here in DC and across the country. We're going to make it through this. Today was a rough day for me, but tomorrow might be a better day for someone else. Just, trust God through everything. Always look for the positives in life, and let's make America great again someday.
Let's do that.
Well said.
I'll leave you guys.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
It's 6 to 6 months, the average.
Scott, no, 6 to 6 months. It's probably close.
How did it come up with a number like that?
Well, I'd have to look back at all Scott's charges and so on. I don't really know, but we'd have to look at that. Do you know what his charges were? Scott's. Did he have a 1512C?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you think that I feel like that sentence would say, let's ramp it up a notch. Okay, you're going to take away the 1512C. Well, let's make sure these guys that processing through here, we get them as high as we possibly can.
They get credit time for already served?
Yes, they do.
Some of the judges have already said, I know one in particular, that if the 1512 is overturned, that they're going to try to find other ways to increase their sentences,
Right.
which is illegal. In other words, the legal system didn't work quite as harshly as we wanted, so now we'll break the rules to get back at these people because they're nothing but political prisoners, plain and simple. All you have to do is look at the Summer of Love, the
Right.
BLM riots, and compare the way they were treated to the way the J6ers were treated. And bear in mind, there was over $2 billion worth of damage done over the Summer of Love. And the most that they can claim for J6 was $1 million, which is probably inflated and largely composed of the cleanup that you do after any demonstration. So anyway, if there's any doubt about whether or not there's a two-tiered justice system, I think this removes any of that doubt. And this is only going to be settled at one place, and that's the ballot box. So I know that we don't normally go into a lot of politics, but a lot of this can change real quickly if Donald Trump gets elected. So keep that in mind. And keep this in mind too. The conservatives have taken back over the Republican Party. They've taken over the RNC. For years, I wouldn't send money to the RNC. Now they're being run like a well-oiled machine. So I would encourage all of you, if you want to help J6, try to help the individual inmates, but don't forget, try to help get Donald Trump elected. I don't speak about politics much when I speak, but I don't think there's any other single factor that will help the J6ers more than to get a patriotic American back in the White House.
Amen.
Yep, well said.
I agree completely. You look at the playing field, and there's Biden, there's RFK. I would never in a million years dream that I would say that it doesn't look like a Kennedy. This particular one is actually sufficiently patriotic.
I heard the Kennedys are voting for Trump.
That's what I heard.
We're voting for Biden.
But I think the thing you mentioned early on in your little diatribe was, the evidence of a two-tier justice system. And one of the things I find most annoying is you start talking about the two-tier justice system to somebody that's not necessarily on your team. And their reactions are like, I don't care, they deserve it. And it just makes my brain want to freak out just a little bit and kind of show them my ugly side. Because if the roles were reversed, or if the storyline was different and it was their side, they'd be screaming bloody murder and they'd have another summer of love.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've said it before, the two-tiered system, it's like, it's not even tiers, you know, they're so far apart. Tiers implies, you know, levels that are related close. It's like opposite ends of a ladder, you know, polar opposites. There's justice for me and justice for thee, and guess which side you want to be on. So, man, that's so heart crushing for Scott Miller. But, you know, he's going to process it. He's a smart guy. He's going to get through it. 66 month, though, it's just, geez.
Yes, get credit for 2 years.
Yeah, he gets the credit, but still, it's just
Yeah,
hard.
January. We hope.
All right. What else we got?
Almost time, isn't it?
8 minutes.
8 minutes?
I don't know if we went through this. David Geetson's sentencing is April 23rd, next week at 2 o'clock, and Andrew Taki's sentencing is next week, April 24th at 2 o'clock.
Who's on the 23rd? David Gibson?
David Geetson,
What time?
2. And Andrew Taki, 24th at 2.
Well, I will say this, anybody that's in the Virginia or Washington Metro DC area and you can get into one of these sentencings, go in there. I park in a parking garage that's right up the street on 3rd Street. And it's colonial parking. I'll think of it here in a second. One Judiciary Square parking is what it is. One Judiciary Square. So it's right next to the One Judiciary Square metro spot. It's a block and a half down and into the courthouse. Very easy to get in. They have a metal detector, simple to get through, and then once you're in, you can walk around and go wherever you want to. Joseph Prettyman is the name of the courthouse. Joseph Prettyman Courthouse.
Hello, this is a prepaid debit call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Telling.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Patriots, what's going on? It's Quaglim again.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Just finishing you guys up. Sorry about the confusion, and today we lost a couple key people that talked every day, and you know, a lot of people are worried about. Coffee just got a epic time on. He got it today. It was April 12th that it was delivered. I mean, just got it today. So that's 6 days late. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reason why I wanted to call is because if anyone hasn't, and we're just going to talk quick 5 minutes before the anthem. So basically, I have been working on doing the only thing that I can do while I was kept away from my family and held in my mind and a lot of other people's minds illegally as persecuted patriot and as a political prisoner. I did the only thing that I saw right, and that was to take down a corrupt small-time jail that, and which then turned into the whole jail system in Virginia, the federal system, which is absolutely corrupt. Ted Hull from Northern Neck has been abusing
the system not giving people what they should be getting, both the local guys and the federal guys, but especially the federal guys, because every time, for those of you who don't know, the federal, the marshals sub everything out. Well, they sub it out and they say, hey, listen, you have to abide by these rules. And Ted Hole for 30 years hadn't abide by those rules at all. I started documenting them. As soon as I got in, I was already documenting. It's the only good advice my first lawyer told me to do, is to document. They said, you realize that this is like, it's a broken system. We all know it's a broken system. What are you going to do? Fix it? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, the best you can do is get a lawsuit out of it. And believe me, you have a good one. When I lost 30 pounds my first 45 days in isolation. And it went from there. So I took daily notes. Northern Neck was probably my best note taking. So unfortunately for you guys, there's a lot of it there. I forget how much there was, but I guess my dad talked to John, and John Gross said that his whole trunk was filled. So good luck. A lot of that is in chronological order, but it's going to need some more work. There's a lot of garbage in there too, but I just want to say, the fact that I keep on saying in Northern Neck, hey, listen, we need proper cleaning stuff, it's not garbage.
Right.
They literally made you scrub the tables that you ate with the same water. The same water that you scrub your toilet with. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just one of the many things that Northern Neck had to offer there. But one of the good things was the Northern Neck Patriots. Thank God for you guys. Thank you so much for giving us a voice. While we were at Northern Neck and then beyond. It became a movement, and God bless all you guys. I thank God for you guys every day. So, with that, we have 1 minute until the national anthem. We're dwindling down. But I tell you one thing. Over here, they are telling guys, oh, they don't have any more beds over there for you over at the Patriot Hop. Oh, you have to wait until they have more beds open, more beds open up. A guy just came in yesterday, and until he freaked out on people, they didn't bring him over. So the same shenanigans are happening over here that happened in Northern Neck and everything else. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. But we're here about the national anthem.
3, 2, 1. By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed, that the twilight's fast gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaked, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
you so much again. And I guess Tom's gonna have a book out there eventually. Any book writers or any publishers out there, you want a great book. I think that, you know, Tom, you can name it anything you want, as far as more than that, have a great ring to it. I don't think so.
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna sit around and we're gonna talk about that, and you're gonna be the star of it. So there you go. Hey, listen.
Well, listen, and I didn't do any of this to I just did it because I saw that it was disgusting what was going on. And I can't say that. I wanted to document it for my own sake because I wanted to tell the judge this is what happened. But, you know, so many people said, good luck, good luck, good luck, good luck, you know, and I even got into a fist fight in Northern Neck because someone was so upset that I wouldn't give up and I wouldn't, like, what are you going to do about us? You know, why does it matter about us? You know how many other people have said the same thing you're saying? And I said, well, that's great. You know, so I'm opening up another grievance dated 4/1/24. I said, we were not given a special meal for Easter. It is the most holy day of the year for a Catholic. This grievance appears it was denied, see attached. This grievance appears to be on behalf of another inmate or inmates. You cannot file a grievance on behalf of other inmates or groups. Are you insane? Are you insane right now?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing that because, I mean, I understood they did for Ramadan. They gave them meals, special meals, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. And oh well, you get one for Christmas. Listen, screw Christmas. I'm not saying screw Christmas, but listen, Christmas and Easter are on a totally different playing field as far as I'm concerned as a Roman Catholic. Okay, and I don't know about Christians, but I believe Christians are the same way. Our God, as Christians and Catholics and Protestants and everything else, I think Protestants, they believe in Jesus too, right? Everything else, the difference in between our God and every other God is our God is living. And I was taught this from a very, very early age. That's the difference in between us and them. Our God is living still. Our God is with Jesus Christ. Of course, we have God, right? The Father and, you know, the Father Almighty and everything else. But and we have the Virgin Mary, yes. But Jesus is the one who is in every Catholic church that I go to. Jesus is up on the crucifix. Okay, and he's up there, and Easter is on a totally different playing field than Christmas. Christmas, the only reason why Christmas is Christmas is because it's been monopolized, and in my opinion, listen, if I'm offending anyone, I'm sorry, but I don't care. Listen, I've been 3 years in jail. I really don't care if I offend anyone anymore. Like, you're breathing free air, okay? Like, if I offend sorry, not sorry, but
No, got it.
You gotta shrug it off, and you know. In my opinion, Easter is, and I've been taught this my whole life, Easter is at a totally different level. Easter is when Jesus Christ proved to the world, or at least his followers, right, because there's deniers out there and everything else. Jesus Christ proved to the world that he was God's son.
that he was the chosen one, that he was the Messiah, that he was who he was. So for the DC jail not to give an Easter meal to Christians and Catholics, and anyone that celebrates Easter, is absolute bigotry, and it's, it's whatever word you want to call it. I don't know.
It's unconstitutional.
It's just not right. It's just not right.
Yeah, it's religious persecution, it's religious, deliberate indifference. That's a good jail word right there, it's deliberate indifference. And this right here, this woman coming from B. Harris, she's the real peach. The fact that you're sending this and denying it on that and not accepting responsibility is the major problem with the DC jail. You see, it's not the standard CO, right? That's the problem with the DC jail. It's not even a couple of the white shirts.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Well, let's talk about it.
It happens to be in the DC jail that it's in management or administration. It is lefty women, you know, and it's women of color, and they hate us. They hate us because they hate the fact that there's a group of white men in a pod together, and that we all like Trump, and we are so different as different could be. I am totally different than every single one of these men in here. We all have our own personalities, our own beliefs, our own this, our own that. The love of the country brought us together on January 6th. That's it. And they hate that we stand together. Because you know what? It's something that they haven't done, and they're people.
Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Bye, Chris.
All right. Chris Quaglin. I think he's on to something there with that complaint. All right, everybody, thanks so much for coming in, as always, and spread it around. Appreciate everything that you all do to support J6, and make sure you teach other people about it, because it's unbelievable how many people don't really know. Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
So, I thought